Alright, boys, what's happening?
Not much, man. Welcome back. Glad to have you back after your spell on the subs bench.
Off the treatment table, back before Benny.
That's embarrassing.
Fucking pneumonia. I'm back before Benny.
Nice to see him on Saturday, I suppose. For a change.
It'd be nicer to see him in fucking shorts and t-shirt with football boots on. Sick of seeing him waving for the side of the park. It's good to be back. Tam, what's been happening? You all good?
Aye, not much. Kind of fucking glad that season's over. I'll put it that way, but I'm sure we're going to go over it, but yeah.
Aye, I echo those feelings as well. I'm sure we'll cover that in detail. Ando, what's been happening?
Not much, man. Just another day in the life. The day in the life. What am I talking about? Another week up in the northeast, and not really much to say. That's it. Nothing I can contribute.
Oh. Well, we'll obviously got live on YouTube again tonight. We'll get as much interaction as we can with the comments. So start thinking folk about, favourite goal, favourite moment, favourite fucking balls up of the season, favourite collapse, favourite away defeat, favourite defeat to Celtic or Rangers, give me your worst moment of the season, favourite Hearts manager of the season, whatever it is you want. Start thinking about your highlights, lowlights, and all in betweens of the season, and we'll get cracking through some of that.
What a start this has been. We're so depressed already.
So subdued, man.
It's Thursday, 5 days after our last game. Like, this is as upbeat as I can muster.
Okay, we'll give everybody a peek behind the curtain and just let everybody know what Corbett put in the group chat when we suggested maybe doing a pod on Monday. What was your response?
I said I would rather something my dad.
I think it was still a bit raw and tinged with emotion at that point, but I'll be honest, I thought that was us.
I think we are just...
Oh, hey, boom, boom. He's here all week, folks. Enough of that comedy shit. We're a depressed podcast these days, so just tune it down a bit.
Well, I think it sums it up. When I was on my deathbed on Wednesday of last week in my bed, I said to my wife, don't wake me up unless Hearts win. And I woke up at 7:30 on the Thursday morning and I went, I'll take a Hearts didn't win then. And she went, no, Hearts didn't. Fucking absolutely predictable. So we'll go for it. We'll try and be as upbeat as we can. We have to be serious and have a wee talk as well about where did it go wrong, who's to blame. It's easy to blame the manager, but I think there's probably more deep-rooted underlying issues that we've kind of either been oblivious to, or it's maybe just a bump in the road. But my biggest fears are that we haven't learned or didn't learn anything from the Craig Levein episode, given that everybody of a Hearts persuasion could tell you that if the results ever dried up under Robbie, then the performances were never anywhere near good enough to get going, and that's exactly what we've seen. So we'll go through all that stuff. Did we got any quizzes or that? Did we say we were going to?
No, I think this was going to be a group therapy session again, where we're just going to rant and rave and go fucking mental.
Aye, well, I was going to say, but at least we don't have to watch Hearts until August or whatever it is when the season starts. But no, we're back to fucking football in about 2 weeks' time, playing Inter Mongolia in the fucking Vida League Cup or whatever it is.
Tell you what, at least we've not got that fucking League Cup, man. Silver linings and all that, eh?
Silver linings, that's true. I'm assuming we are all now Cali Thistle fans. I will take the 5th round of the thingies if it stops Aberdeen getting guaranteed group stage football.
And stop Hibs getting a qualifier and that.
Very true. Actually, we'll talk about Hibs as well in their very strange party for finishing 5th, which is very weird. There are streamers and balloons and all that. I was a bit like, I missed something here. What am I missing? And again, it's levels in it. We finished 4th and won the 4th placed cup and we were devastated and disappointed, and they threw themselves a party for finishing 5th, which I suppose technically is 2 positions higher than they finished the season before and the season before that. So progress.
Pathetic.
Exactly. Right. So anything on YouTube so far?
No. Tom Lang has asked when you said Northeast, I know you're in Scaberdine, but no, I can confirm you're not.
No, the northeast of England's Leicestershire. He clearly hasn't listened for a long time. It's been a while since
Probably just tunes out when you
I
speak,
live in England.
Or he's maybe just, he knows the big wank that you are, that you probably defected to Aberdeen just so you can get a couple of days in Europe.
That's more accurate. And Tam, if my lips are moving, that means I'm still talking, right? So let me finish my sentence before you steam.
Sorry, I tuned it as well then. That must have
shut your fat little face.
We just said before this we were going to be nice to each other, and we were trying not to swear so we could monetize this, and we've already ruined it.
I think we'll stay away from the C-bomb. I think we'll probably be all right. Might earn another £1.75 out of this one.
Well, might as well start from where I put on the chat and the YouTube chat is where we kind of end the season. It looks as if Stephen Naismith is going to be the new permanent manager of Heart of Midlothian Football Club. Sam, do you have an opinion on that? Like, yes, no, maybe so?
It's hard because he certainly has got a better tune out of the players in terms of performance. But for me, at the end of the day, it's the easy option. I would like to have seen a bit more ambitious appointment, somebody a wee bit different, someone who's, I don't know, got a bit more about them in terms of experience. It's exactly that. Not somebody that's most experiences in the Lowland League for me. But if it is, it would be a bit more entertainment to watch. But at the end of the day, I don't know if the results have necessarily warranted him getting the job full time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've heard loads of Hearts fans say this. What is the barometer of this improved performances and results or whatever? Because we've played 7 games and won 2, so 5 out of the 7 he didn't win. Like Barry Robson, for example, won 6 out of his first 7 games as Aberdeen manager, including victories over us and the Old Firm. Like, what are we warranting this upturn in performance that everybody keeps talking about? Where is that?
I suppose that's realistically based on just us playing on the front foot more often. We've seen 30 shots against Aberdeen. Possession at home has been a lot better. Shots have been a lot better in terms of that stats. And even just watching it, it's been a lot more enjoyable than the turgid pish we've seen with Nielsen by the end of it. But I suppose that's realistically, you're basing it on possession football for the back to now being on the front foot. That's where the changes came. But
we're also watching us concede the same goal we've conceded every week at Easter Road with Kevin Nisbet and terrible defending. Then we concede sloppy play, give away a penalty at home to Ross County when it should have been 6-0 or even more, and we concede. Then we concede again from a set play that we've conceded every single week against St Mirren, and we concede the same goals that we concede against Celtic. Like, is there, other than it's good to see Oda. We've seen an improvement in Atkinson, but then I would maybe argue that has there been an improvement in Atkinson, or is he just getting game time? Like, he never played under Robbie Neilson. Oda never played under Robbie Neilson. Cochrane was sacrificed week in, week out. Like, have we actually seen an improvement in performance, or have we just seen the level of performance from utter dog shit to just dog shit? Like, do you know what I mean? Is that the jump? Where's the bar for you?
It's hard to disagree. I suppose at the end of the day, we've always spoke about how good a squad we've had. Every single one of those players was underperforming since the turn of the year anyway, and previous to that. So you're seeing an Atkinson who's on the front foot, which there's never any doubt that Atkinson was good going forward. Defensively, that's where the issues lie. But to be fair, on Saturday, I thought he actually was all right defensively, I would add. But at the same time, you're talking about defensively, the goals we lose, and it's the same goals every time. That there's something that has to come down to the players at that point. as well. I would honestly argue, but
yeah, I would agree as well. But the manager coaches them and sets them up for set plays and tells them where to have their line and when to press and know when to press. Like I was going to say Robbie Nielsen. Stephen Naismith can't do anything that Toby Sibbick headers the ball up in the air at Ibrox when he should just let the ball go through to Clark. He can't do anything about that.
Same on Saturday, I suppose, with Rebels, but there you go.
But you absolutely can do stuff about, and he did the right thing. He dropped Sibbick for the Hibs game, but like Kyrow's deals with the ball at first contact on Saturday, and Hibs don't get a free kick, and we don't go down to 10 men, and we never see what we're up. So I don't know. I'm not, Ando. I think me and you are going to be similar of where we're at because we've spoken about this before. But what's your thoughts on Naismith and where we're at right now?
I think for me, if we look at where we've been since 10 games we were unbeaten towards the end of January, when we were, in the build up to us being in that really commanding third place at the end of January. We hadn't played brilliant football, but the performances again were less than ideal. But we were still getting results and doing not too bad. Then after that, as Tam says, it went to absolutely turgid pish, and we've been putting up with it for ages and ages and ages. Nielsen loses his job, and then all of a sudden we lift it up a level. But there's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, I think, here, which is right. It's been crap for ages. All we're doing, I don't think we haven't returned to anything like the levels that we've seen towards the early part of the season. But you can look at it objectively and say there has been a little bit of an improvement, but that improvement for me is not enough. It's not enough to warrant giving him a 2 or 3 year contract or whatever he's going to end up getting. Yeah, okay, there has been improvements, but for me, it's not enough.
And listen, I really like Stephen Naismith, and I like his passion, I like his energy. I like everything about him. I just thought, and this goes back to what I touched on earlier, right? It's not about giving Naismith the job or no, etc., whether because he's had hard games. Of course, he had two derbies to contend with, plus 2 games versus Celtic and Rangers. So realistically, he's played 3 games against sides that we could have or should have won, and he's won 2 out of the 3 and got a draw for 2-0 down to 2 each away at St Mirren. But it's more about Andrew McKinley was very, very clear when he gave Stephen Naismith the job. 7 games, save the season. Now, yeah, 7 games is maybe not enough, but we knew what the mission was, and we missed third by 3 points. So we pick up any points against St Mirren, we beat them. We managed to, manage the game better at Ibrox. Who knows? We get some points. It's fine margins that it comes down to, and my worry is that we do this all the time. I know that it's a lazy argument to say he's a safe option, right? I get that, but what I mean by that is, I said this when I was on Sports Sound on Saturday, that Hearts haven't cleared the decks after a manager since the Romanoff days. So we cleared the decks the very first transfer window when Ambudge came in, and we got rid of Gary Locke and all those coaching staff and all that sort of stuff, and we brought in this new 5-year plan thing of bring Craig Levein as a director of football, bring Robbie Nielsen in and a couple of other younger up-and-coming coaches, and have a conveyor belt of talent and all that sort of stuff. And it worked. And we liked it, and we were doing well, etc., etc. Then Robbie left. Craig Levein stayed. He was the mastermind of the whole operation, and we brought in Ian Cathro. Now, Ian Cathro was new to us, but wasn't new to Craig Levein. Craig Levein knew him, brought him in. He brought in Austin McPhee, etc., etc. Then when Ian Cathro went, Craig Levein stepped into the role, and Austin McPhee stayed, and John Daly stayed, and Liam Fox stayed, etc., etc. Then Craig Levein left, and Austin McPhee was put on gardening leave, and Daniel Stendel came in. Daniel Stendel wasn't able to bring any of his own coaches to begin with, had to use the coaches that were John Daly and Liam Fox. Austin McPhee and Craig Levein wandering about the building like big creepy ghosts, no going anywhere, turning the players against Stendel, etc., etc. Then the club jumped back to Robbie straight away because they were familiar with him and they knew him. So again, nothing really changed behind the scenes in terms of bringing Robbie back in. He knew the structure, he knew the club, he knew what the club was trying to do, and he knew the board. Now Robbie's left. They've promoted from the under-18s manager who's been there for years, used to be the captain, knows the club, and kept Gordon Forrest there again. So we've been through 5 managers and never actually changed anything behind the scenes. Stephen Naismith was given clear objectives as what was to be achieved. We've ultimately not got those results right. And I just don't know if we are rewarding failure as the right way for a Hearts manager to join the job, if you know what I mean. And that's nothing against Naismith. I like the way he wants to play football. I like the way he's playing. I like his passion. I like the way he talks about the game and all that sort of stuff. It's just, my worry is, what do they give him the job and how long do we stick with it? Because again, my bigger picture, and we'll go back to this in a wee second as well, we talk about the manager. We've got issues at board level. That's the bigger question here, and I'm going to put it to you as, like, I spoke about standards in the last podcast, right? And what I mean about that is, the board are never going to come out and tell us who wanted rid of Robbie, right? They're not going to, right? No. But if we ever get to sit down in front of Savage and talk to Savage again, my point will be, where in the road did people start voicing stuff on board level to say, wait a minute, I don't think this is working, we should get a change? Because if that was after St Mirren at home, then we're up shit creek, because that's alarm bell stuff. Was it after Aberdeen? Was that when people put their hands up? The rumours are that actually our club captain, Craig Gordon, actually was the one that had to go to the board to say, enough is enough, this needs to stop. So again, it's, well, who are the voices? And if it's the same voices that were there when Craig Levein was there, we need to sit down and say, right, well, where is the ambition of this club? Because we sat with Joe Savage in the summer. He said he wants to win trophies, right? Cool. So Kilmarnock have just had to win on the last game of the season to avoid the playoff relegation spot thing. They've been shite all season long. They've won 2 league away games all year. 1 free if you include the fact that they beat us in the cup. So we had a first round tie at home against Kilmarnock, who were bottom of the league, playing utter shite, and we got knocked out. So did the alarm bell start ringing there? Because if you were to list all the season objectives, Joe Savage was pretty clear. Cup finals, get to Hampden, win trophies. Mm-hmm. Well, objective number 1 in the season failed. Do you even go back and let's be harsh and say, actually, Zurich, we are 1-0 up away to Zurich and we lose 2-1. We bring them back to Tynecastle. We all celebrated that we had an away leg first and then home for the second, and ultimately got beat and knocked it there. So the first objective of the season was failed there as well. I think we conceded 20 goals in the 6 games that we played in the group stage football. John McGlynn got draws at White Hart Lane in Anfield, and we got absolutely hammered in every game we played, unless we were playing utter dross. And even against Riga, we were hanging on for dear life. So again, not to be harsh, I know that we weren't. No one was expecting us to get out of the groups. No one was expecting us to go toe-to-toe and win trophies and win the Europa Conference League or whatever. But what, 4-0 at home, 3-0 at home, 5-1 away, 3-1 away, whatever it was. Like,
no, you're right.
We're sure they're better than that. Like,
yeah, we are against the fucking possibly the winners of it.
They
were against fucking Liverpool, Tim. We played Liverpool and got a draw.
We didn't even show up, to be honest. I know
David Templeton and Ryan McGowan and John McGlynn on the bench as the manager. We fucking went to Tottenham and got a draw with Tottenham. We beat Braga. We beat Bal. You know, we went toe to toe with Schalke and Feyenoord and all these teams with players that weren't hugely brilliant football players or superstars or whatever. Like, at Tynecastle, Hearts should be laying a glove on every single team that we play. So my point just goes to you, Tam. The question I'm hanging is, are you worried about the board? Should we see some changes at board level for you, or does it just solely fall on Robbie Nielsen's door?
To be honest, I don't know enough out of the board out with your Savage, McKinley and Budge. And if Budge still has the final say, we know how that previously went. So there we go. I think that may have been the holding off factor in terms of pulling the plug on Nielsen, but that's pure speculation. I'm guessing.
Well, I can jump in there to say that Anbudge, I believe, isn't a decision maker anymore.
Okay.
In terms of what happens in the board. Now, it's not to say she doesn't have a voice. It doesn't say that she can't influence things or whatever. But my understanding is that, we now have representatives from the Foundation of Hearts on the board. You've got Jerry Mallon, you've got Andrew McKinley, etc., etc. But it's not she doesn't have final say.
Right.
Well.
To be fair, to answer your question though, what I would say is I think the way we run currently is better than we've been run in a long time from the outside perspective of what the way they speak, the way they do it. Are they showing the same ambition as what they're saying? That's a different question. But for me, the season was fucked after the new year, essentially, with those run of games that Nielsen lost.
But see, to play devil's advocate, right? And not just because I'm in one of these moods, right? we laud the club for being amazing off the field. The fact is that James Anderson ploughs in donations to balance the books. So if he's not there and doesn't balance the books, now the counter argument to that is, well, they bring them to the club. He knows what it is. It's all accounted for, all that sort of stuff. But let's be honest here. The club operates at a loss without those donations, right? Do you know what I mean? So are we operating as well as we want? Because we've just made financial suicide and stuck with a manager that's cost us maybe between £5 and £8 million. So, but that's the devil's advocate. That's not my. I'm just being a dick for the sake of being a dick when it comes to that.
I'll say black, you say white tonight. Like,
what's your thoughts on the whole board thing? Am I miles off it?
No, I don't think you are. I think ultimately this decision for me sits with the footballing department, because the board of directors are what the board of directors are, right? So in terms of all the commercials, the marketing strategy, all that stuff that happens off the field, and things in and around the ground, we do, as Tam alluded to, do that quite well. I think ultimately, if I didn't know that about Gordon having to go to the board, Gordon can't just walk into a board meeting. He has to go through channels. He has to go through the footballing department, and ultimately Joe Savage is the head of that, right? So then he's obviously accountable to the board. I think I liked how you described the previous sort of half dozen managers that we've had, where there's always been that little continuation, even if it's just a tiny thread that runs through them all. Yeah. There's never been a clean cut, and to be honest, I've never really thought about that before until you outlined it. And I think I don't want to say it makes so much sense, but I think ultimately this state that we're in just now is ultimately down to the head of the footballing department. I'm not calling for Joe Savage's head, right? That absolutely not, far from it. I think he's been more of a force for good than he has been a drag factor. But I think he himself probably needs to be read the Riot Act the same way he read the Riot Act to Robbie, and he was clear about it. He said there's standards, there's a list of objectives. He himself probably has that in place. I think the board need to be more stringent with the accountability of the head of the football department. That's where I would say the not changes need to be made, but improvements need to happen, if that makes sense.
And listen, I think it's easy to look now because we haven't achieved. I said for ages I wasn't calling for Robbie's head. We were, for us, we were cool, calm, and collected in those situations compared to what we're normally like. We were willing to say, actually, Robbie, as a Hearts manager, delivers results. Now, the means in which he gets those results aren't always easy on the eye. They're maybe not the way we would do it or the way we'd like to see it done, but they get done. And ultimately, that's all that matters. So we were like, we're fine, because right now we've got results. And where we are right now, the season objectives are still within our grasp, which is finish third. So where we finished third by goal difference, the objective, however we got there, was to finish third. So we were like, right, well, let's just see where Robbie takes us, etc., etc. So the worry for me is that, again, and there's a difference, right? So if after the Rangers game where we were beat 3-0 at home and it should have been 6 or 7, if the voices of concern were starting to be raised at board level, then fine. At least they're reacting to what it is. And again, we always seem to go on the right side of the road in terms of Romanoff sacked folk like that just because, right? He just, I didn't like the way we played there, sacked them or whatever, and that's not the right answer either. But it's that thing is, again, if the conversations to get rid of Robbie didn't actually kick off until we lost 2-0 at home to St Mirren when effectively the season was already done, then that's a real worry. That's a real worry because how do they not see it on how lower does the standards have to drop? And I look back to our conversations with Joe Savage, and again, at the time, we were in a positive place, so you accept it and you trust and you say, right, fine, and now we failed our mission ultimately where we've been. So you start to look back and say, were there warning signs there? I look back to our conversation with Joe Savage. They knew straight away, Joe Savage rhymed off, we're away to Motherwell after we play here, we're away to Aberdeen after we play this, we've got Celtic on the back of that. So already they've got their excuses. So Robbie would have said that. Robbie would have looked at the list of fixtures and went, well, we're playing away to Fiorentina on the Thursday, we're away to Pittodrie on the Sunday, so that's going to be a really tough game. So are they saying, write that game off because you can't expect to go win or whatever? And it's that stuff that worries me. It's that mentality. We've been like that from the start. We're saying, oh, you can't expect the players to play Thursday, Sunday. It's really tough. And we bought into that. I was the biggest advocate of saying, they play Thursday, Sunday. Even when we interviewed Robbo said, no, that's nonsense. They're football players. They should be able to play every 3 days. Don't give them the excuse, just tell them to get on with it. So, I don't know. Like you said, you get sceptical and you scrutinise everything. I'm not a yes or a no in the Naismith camp just to go back to where we were there. I'd be happy if he got the job. I'd be willing to give him an opportunity. I don't necessarily agree that it would be the right thing to do, but who viable could we get that could come in that could do a better job?
That's what I was going to ask you. What would you like to see if you don't want Naismith? Not in terms of a person, but what qualities do you want to see?
Well, part of me goes back to, like, it's just the style of play, right? That's what it is. There's ways to get beat, and we always err on the side of caution and then get beat, right? So again, we've ended the season as the only team in the top six that didn't beat Celtic and Rangers, right? St Mirren beat Celtic and Rangers, Aberdeen beat Celtic and Rangers, Hibs beat Celtic and Rangers. We're the only side that didn't. Our point with a last-minute equaliser by Guran Kuhl on Wednesday is the only point we picked up this season against Celtic and Rangers. That's mad. That's absolutely mental. And you think about Tynecastle's supposed to be a fortress, right? It's supposed to be, I think we went 15 consecutive games where we lost to Celtic and Rangers. Now, I'm not London Hearts, and I'm sure they'll be able to go through the things, but I will be willing to say that'll be a record. I don't think the club will have went 15 games in a row where they haven't beat Celtic and Rangers. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking for a manager that can lay a glove on the big teams at home. Away from home, fine. Take your chances. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. We're not the only side in Scotland that doesn't win in Glasgow, right? It's just the way that it goes. But definitely need to be better at home. We need to be more combative at home and play attacking football. And we need to, as a matter of urgency, fix our away form. 9 wins in 38 games across
Bloody
2 seasons.
hell. Is that what it is?
That's fucking dog shit. It is the 1st of June 2023 and we haven't won an away game this year. We haven't won an away game this year in the league. That's pathetic. To say that you're the 3rd best club in the country and you can't win. And again, it's that I'm not trying to be a dick, right? But I know I come across like a dick. I get it, right? But Aberdeen beat St Mirren. We have went a full season, right? And we would finish 3rd. We would be 3rd right this very second if we'd managed to beat Livingston once, St Mirren once. We went a full season, 6 games against Livingston and St Mirren and haven't beaten them. That's not good enough. That isn't good enough. Right. So, whoever comes in, manager-wise, I want them to set standards and I want the board to sit down with a manager and didn't give us the bullshit in the media, didn't give us the shit that you think you want to hear. Sit a manager down and say, the semi-finals of both cups minimum. Unless you get Celtic or Rangers in Glasgow, then we'll judge it on the performance on the day. But if you don't get to any of them, we're having a conversation because I'm going to measure where you are because I'm going to sack you. Do you know, that is literally how cut and dry it goes. You got 4 games against Celtic and Rangers at home. I don't want you to lose any of them. And again, if you do, let's look at circumstance, look at performance. How did you play? How did you approach the games? Because if you didn't,
look at the 4-3 game right now. While I wasn't at that one, I was abroad. But by all accounts, decent game, right? You know what? And that one, as better and as horrible and as shitty as it was, you could probably get a bye for that. But the other ways that we played against them, the big ends at home, I totally agree.
And then look as well, it's like the cup finals. We've got 2 mirror cup finals. Craig Levine's cup final, Robbie Nielsen's cup final v Celtic, mirrored versus our cup final v Rangers. We gave Brendan Rodgers' invincible best Celtic team in a generation a scare, and we had some dodgy decisions, but the refs turned the game in their favour and we got beat 2-1. The other, we took them to penalties and lost on penalties. You didn't have a fucking shot on target in 120 minutes versus a Rangers side that had been bevying all weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if I said that in the last podcast, but I know that for a fact. On the Wednesday night after Seville, Rangers players and family were all dealing with the drinking toilet water scenario in the hotel, and then they had a big party. Players didn't get in until 6, 7 in the morning. Flew back home, didn't do nothing, and went to Jimmy Bell's funeral on the Friday. Showed up on the Saturday and beat us. We'd had a full week to prepare. Didn't get a shot on target. And our master plan by our manager was to play Andy Halliday in the number 10 because Liam Boyce wasn't fully fit, but he declared himself fit in the day. That's no speculation or that's insider knowledge. That's what happened. Right? I'm telling you that's what happened. So, manager-wise, I don't know who I want, but that's what I want. I want somebody that will maintain standards and hold people accountable to standards. Have I annoyed anybody in the comments? Is anybody saying I'm talking utter shite, or am I talking bit?
Alexander Taylor's coming after both you and I, but it's Tam's job, so what about you, Tam? That's the only comment I've seen.
Let's put it this way, he's very for Naismith, which is fair. I think there's plenty of Hearts fans that are very much for him. Like I said, exudes passion, plays good football, gains respect from players because he's played at the top level. All the players seem to want him in. Why the fuck has it taken this long? Which again we've kind of alluded to as well. So
yeah, look, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with anything that you've said. It's just more about where we are as a club. Like John Kennedy wouldn't get the Celtic job. Do you know what I mean? Like when Ange goes to Tottenham, John Kennedy's not getting that Celtic job.
Chance.
Do you know what I mean? And not a chance it's happening. So again, it's just about standards, and again. Folk are saying, we had a hard run of games, so you can't expect Naismith to win. But again, I'll go back to Barry Robson had a tough run of games and won 6 of his first 7 matches and secured 3rd. Do you know what I mean? He lost games that ultimately didn't matter because we couldn't beat St Mirren away from him. We couldn't beat Hibs away from him. We couldn't beat Hibs at home. Couldn't hold on at Ibrox to get more than a point or whatever it ended up being. So do you know what I mean? It's standards, and that's my big thing is I want to see standards held and hold people accountable for it because we're talking a good game. We've spoken a good game for ages and ages. We need to actually hold people to that standard.
Do you not think Naismith as a man, we've seen him on the pitch as a captain try to keep those standards? Do you reckon he's not that type of manager, or is that not something you think he brings?
I think he does, but I think it needs to be, and I think you've seen that way. He dropped Sibic, which I like. Do you know what I mean? He's made the mistake that ultimately cost us on the Wednesday. He's dropped him on the Saturday, which is totally and utterly fine. But it's more about above him time is what I'm talking about.
Fair.
It's about because managers will make excuses. It's what they do, and Robbie was a master of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. They're already gone through the fixture list and picking the games that they think are going to be hard. I'm sorry, but it's professional football. Every game's hard. Do you know what I mean? Every game's hard. It's like I have this argument with my wife all the time. My wife, and I don't know if you all have partners or the same that do it as well. You say, let's do something, and she goes, that would be expensive. And I'll go, fucking nay shit, Sherlock. because I thought going on a Caribbean cruise would be fucking £4.50. Like, it comes with the territory saying, let's go on a Caribbean cruise. It's got to be expensive. I know that. That's why I said it. Let's see if we can afford it. And it's the same with football. You play professional football in the top league in Scotland, the elite league in Scotland. Guess what? They're hard games. Got to Livingston away. That's a hard game. Playing St Mirren at home. It's a hard game. Like, why are you telling me this? I know that. You should know that too. What you got to do about it? And that's that thing. It's a mentality switch for me. And I agree. Alexander Taylor's probably right. Then Naismith's played at the highest level, and it's not to argue to say that he wouldn't bring that to the table, but it needs to be backed up by your Savages, your guys behind them, to say, I'm sorry, but here's the line in the sand. If you don't meet it, if you don't hit this level, then you don't have a job. Ultimately, is where we're at. So, we're going to talk about Saturday's game, or do you just want to keep talking about the season as a whole? Do you want to, well, let's have a happy moment. Let's have a happy interlude and say, let's just quickly say, let's talk about favourite goal of the season, right? So we'll say that just now. Poke in YouTube, give your favourite goal of the season, and then we'll go around and talk about our favourite goal of the season. So Ando, I'll go to you first. What's been your favourite goal of the season?
Oh, if I'm honest, oh man, I'm torn between two. The first one, it's an easy one to say just because of how spectacular it was, is Humphrey's goal from inside his own half. It's like that's amazing. I've never seen a goal like that at Tynecastle in my life. The closest one I've seen for a distance like that would probably be Austin McCann, and for what it meant in that game. I'm going back a good few years now, but yeah, for me, it's got to be Ginelli during the minute's applause for the lad that sadly passed away.
Really?
I think that when you look at that, all things considered, that for me, that's hairs on the neck kind of stuff, man. Like, genuinely, absolutely phenomenal. It was a goal for the second it left his foot, and just the whole everything surrounding it. For me, that's it. It's goal of the season, I think. It's Humphrey's number 2.
Right. That's hard to argue with that. I would. You'll not get a better, more poignant moment than that. But I mean, a game that genuinely mattered at the time, a goal down, probably arguably not playing our best at the time, or a bit huff and puff at the time, frustrations growing, etc., etc. And again, I'm going to go back to something that we'll talk about our season highlight in a minute, and we'll talk as to what my season highlight will be. It won't take you much to guess what it is, but we were, again, it's that mentality switch for the fans, right? We were all moaning and angry and annoyed at every stray pass, every backwards pass, every move that didn't quite come off. We're always angry and on the seat. The 42nd minute, let's all come together, stand and clap for one of our own, etc., etc. So there's no moaning, there's no hanging as the play develops, etc., etc. And Gino bangs it in the top corner. And I'm not saying Gino banged it in the top corner because everybody was clapping, but it goes back to a point on Saturday against Hibs. There was a point where about 10 minutes to go where actually everybody stopped biting their nails, stopped shiting themselves, stopped being anxious and worried, and everybody took fucking reality pills and went, this is Hibs at Tynecastle. There's not a fucking hope in hell that they're going to score. We're more likely to score because that's what we do. And everybody started to get behind. Everybody was standing. Everybody was singing. Everybody was getting right behind the team. And Hearts stopped camping in their own box and started carrying the ball into the corner flag. They started running Hibs defenders. They started turning them and it dragged us up the park. And Hibs genuinely, I don't think, had an opportunity in the last 10 minutes like they had before, where every 3 or 4 minutes it was a cross into the box, it was defending it for a corner. So I agree. I like Gino's goal probably for the significance. Fireworks in the background, Tynecastle on its feet, and just the standard of the goal. It's a fucking belter, an absolute peach, and you could see that it meant the world to Gino as well. He knew what was going on. He knew what was happening. The thing I'd throw into the ring as well, because I thought, Humphrey's goal was a belter, but Toby Sibic running.
That was going to be mine as well.
And thinking David Marshall
is
unbelievable.
To be fair, the second goal in that game was also
Shankland as well. unbelievable. And Shanklin scored some unbelievable goals, just team goals, and his movement and finishing stuff off as well. So. Is that what you're going to say was your favourite goal of the season?
I think it has to be the two Ando said, but if you're going out there a bit, the second two at Easter Road were the wee layoff for the Shanklin volley was brilliant, and Civic obviously.
Aye, I think was it Barry Mackay? Did Barry Mackay score for St Mirren at Tynecastle?
Oh, coming inside. Who was that against? He's not scored many as well, so anyway. It's not that hard to work out.
No, it was the one that came to like edge of the box and he hinged at top bags. I'm sure it was St Mirren. But anyway, they're good goals.
Chris Summerville said Mackay v Ross County. Was it that?
I think he scored. That was the first game of the season, wasn't it? Where he hit it right across the box. George Grant scored a decent goal as well, but I'm not sure if that was a cross on. But there we go. What is our people's options? Has anybody else said anything for their favourite goal of the season?
Just that Mackay one at Ross County and Civic Chip at Easter Road. Alexander Taylor. Scott Lister has confirmed it's St Mirren as well.
Aye, I thought it was St Mirren, which was decent. Right, let's talk about Saturday then, since we touched on it there. Thoughts on, well, obviously Oda. Let's talk about Oda because it was positive. I fucking love Oda. I'm putting it out there. I absolutely. Was it because I love his chant? Ando, do you know the chant, the words to the Oda song?
Remind me again. How's it got? Just hum it.
Oda, da 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 da. Oda.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Thanks for.
That was such a Shanks moment there. You just needed Shanks.
I'm just thinking. It's like, I can't remember. But yeah, I do remember hearing that on Saturday. I'll be honest. We've been seeing shades of it over the last couple of weeks, but I think he definitely sprung to life on Saturday. I think it's just a shame that goal couldn't have happened a couple of games ago. It's just come at exactly the wrong time in the last game, isn't it? He now can't really build on it.
Well, I think it had been building in the games. I think he was getting closer and closer, and again, just the desire of him. I think he's everything that we've spoke about before that you kind of want from Hearts players in it, is that you know that he's giving you everything that he's got. Sometimes it's good enough, sometimes it's shite, but you know that it's that he isn't going off the park with nothing left. You know what I mean? He's literally leaves everything out there as well. And I like the team spirit type thing around him as well. Like the players obviously knew how much it meant to him to score. And also at the end as well, like they kept sort of pushing him towards the fans when everybody was singing his name and all that sort of stuff. So, Oda, Tam, what's your thoughts?
Right, I'm fully on the Oda train. He's just, I think even just his energy, he's always on the front, he's pressing, it lifts the rest of them around him. Just worried it's took us fucking 9 months to see him in a Hearts jersey, but
he's got this
conversation.
Weird thing, right? That I've noticed in the last few games where he gets the ball at his feet in a difficult situation, and he just somehow emerges from the challenge with the ball. It's like, how the fuck have you done that? He's just got one of, like, I don't want to say magic feet because that's just wanky, but like he's got this ability to go into a challenge or be surrounded by players and then just a wee touch, a wee flick, whatever it is, and then just come out with the ball, and then he's got the speed to run on it, and it's fucking amazing. We've not had anybody like that for ages. The thing that,
like with it being football geek, you know, I'm a pure football nerd when it comes to things like this, but he's so positive when he gets the ball. Like and it sounds really cliche to say, right? But really good players aren't scared to take the ball anywhere and facing any direction, at any pace, at any time, with any amount of players around them. Good players aren't scared to take the ball, and he's like that. There was loads of times on Saturday where he was doubled up, or he was pressed, or he was literally a ball here for the touchline, and he couldn't care less. He'd just give me the ball, and he would take his touch and instantly face their goal. And he would square his man up. He would run his man. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But that's so positive, and it makes them play, and I loved the fact that he pure noised up Louis Stevenson like straight away, and it's that thing where sometimes you don't in football. You don't even have to have the ball to impact the game sometimes, and a lot of my frustrations, this come when I talk about Barry Mackay in this situation as well, is the fact that go stand on somebody's toes, go push them and walk into them and back them down the touchline when you have a throw in, go stand as far away as you can and make them follow you, go make a run even though you're not going to get it, but you occupy the mind of the person that's playing against you, and it makes them think. And Louis Stevenson had to think about where Oda was for long periods of the game on Saturday, and I really liked that. I thought it was a really good game. And again, I like the fact that we're at the arse of it. We should have changed it earlier, in my honest opinion. But I like that Naismith stuck with the three up front as well when we went down to.
I'm also glad it wasn't him to come off this time.
Oh yeah, and mate, another thing that's clear is obviously what game was it? Mackay was Mackay dropped for one of the games, wasn't he? Was he dropped for Ibrox?
Yeah.
And then
Forrest started
off the bench at Ibrox. Aye. And I like that. And the team hasn't had enough of that this season of being, this is what your task is, right? You're on the bench because you didn't do your task type thing. So, but yeah, I thought Oda was brilliant, and I'm buzzing to see. By the time we see him again in a Hearts jersey, he's going to have had a pre-season. He's going to have another couple of months to have settled into the town and all that sort of stuff, and he's learning English.
New players.
So yeah, I thought he was the shining light on
Saturday
for me. I thought
he got an under-22 call-up as well for they're playing in England and Holland or something.
For Japan. Yeah.
Nice. I thought it was brilliant. I'll talk about the talking point of the game. There's two things I'd like to touch on. I would have preferred they got a penalty and a booking. No, am I the only one? Am I the only one of that trainee thought? Because
it was basically a penalty, wasn't
it? 100%. I spoke about this with Kev on Saturday. Is that at least you get the penalty? Xander Clark's 50-50 or 70-30, whatever it is of him saving it. But if you go a goal down, you're still 11v11. It doesn't ruin the game. This is just another example of VAR being absolute shitehawks and having to validate a decision. It's like, well, we're not really sure. Send them over to the monitor, have a look, and then the referee is almost compelled to validate the fact that he's been sent to the monitor and will agree with them. I've never seen one of the. Let me ask you, this is a loaded question. Have you ever seen anyone go to the VAR screen in any game and not give the outcome that you thought was coming in the first place? Where the referees looked at it and thought, actually, you know what? That isn't a red card, it's a yellow.
Actually, I've only seen it twice. Once where the ref, and it was in England, went and actually stuck with his original decision. And then someone at the weekend just got a red card in England, didn't he? And then got it. The ref went to the monitor and changed it to a booking.
Oh, well, shut up then.
Aye, but
that's going to say
that's England though. That's
true.
I'm actually, maybe it's better Hearts. I've not watched it again because why would I? Fuck all to celebrate finishing fourth, so I've not watched the highlights. But I didn't even think it was a free kick. If I've been absolutely,
to be honest, it is. Like watching it back, I do think it is. But the ball, we've spoken about already today. The ball should never be. Cochrane should never be under that pressure. That ball should have been out the park. Rowles fucks it up completely. How that man can not hit a ball, I'll never understand. But
I honestly don't understand it either.
Yeah.
Then, so that leads to the second point. I've set row 28, section G, up the very, very back, and I was watching, thinking, what the fuck are you doing with your wall? Like, are you going to move your wall along, or like what are we actually doing with this wall? And then he shouldn't get beat there. A goalkeeper, he saved us in the game, like, so I'm not gonna slaughter him, but he shouldn't be getting beat from that free kick. He should have had his wall better, and should have saved
it. Going the his top left type thing, isn't he? The whole time.
Corbett, like, obviously, I'm in the same position as you, just a few rows in front of you. But you could tell from that angle, as soon as that ball was struck, it was in all the way, and it looked like a massive yawning chasm, Like it was,
it
it
really did.
looked absolutely huge from our angle, and like if you just knew as soon as it was hit, that's a goal. All he has to do is just get that on target, bosh. But fucking one of these ones, isn't it?
Jump chasm.
Jump chasm.
Yawning, vast yawning chasm.
Kill troll.
Kill Jester.
Oh, Jester, sorry,
Kill
that's it.
Jester. Kill Jester. Aye, it was really annoying. It was really, really annoying. But he made some great saves after that.
Smashed it.
I actually thought we defended pretty well in the game, if I was being honest with you.
James Hill was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty at times, but we did well. I actually thought Hibs done us a massive favour by bringing that fucking wee lassie junkie on. Like, I don't know if that was like a Make-A-Wish thing or something, but that Harry McCurdy is fucking toilet. He's absolute dog shite.
Yes.
How did he get a game?
I genuinely have seen better dressed homeless folk than that. Like he's horrible. He's an absolute horrible specimen of a man.
Was it someone in our group chat that made a very good point as well? Like, I'm not sure if fucking James Hill had showed up to play against Hibs with green hair, that I would have been like, aye, sounds, mate. Like, he showed up to play in Edinburgh Derby with maroon hair. Like,
what are you doing?
Sorry, but
aye.
That's not acceptable.
Obviously,
that was pretty much all there was to talk about the game. Like I said, the only bit that really stuck out for me at the end was the fact that, like I said, the whole when the fans kind of snapped out of it and got vocal and up and got involved in that, you'd noticed an instant lift with the team. You know, the performance. Didn't get better with it, but we got more braver on the ball, a bit more confident, a bit more swagger about us, and sort of made them answer some questions. We running the ball into the corner, and we won a couple of corners ourselves, etc., etc. That was they were about the only happy thoughts I have of the game. It was pretty dull, pretty boring stuff. Did we care about the handbags at the end, Pam?
It's fun to watch. I'm all for it. I'm happy to see that happen. Johnson's a wee bitch.
I'm happy to see that Cheesy tried to batter fuck at every single person in the Hibs team, so he can no longer be that cheesy. CUNT. He's a good guy. Shite goalkeeper, but that's part. Like, I'll take that.
Did you know apparently like flick off that boy's cap or something, which is great. Flung the water bottle.
That
Claire Cowan deserves a statue, by the way.
Just absolutely smashing everybody on that.
You're like your Matt, like Sunday League game, just trying to break up all the fighting.
We're changing her name to Angry Karen. She is an Angry Karen, and it was absolutely outstanding. Brilliant. Absolutely outstanding.
She'd slap you about, Tim.
Oh, she would.
She'd slap you about, man. It was class. What else was I going to say about? Oh, let's talk about Mikey Smith. We obviously did the banner for Mikey Smith as well. So it was pretty class. 100% Mikey Smith would have got a game if
10 minutes.
We obviously weren't down to 10 and stuff. But a brilliant servant to the club. 6 years? Over 200 games for Hearts. Mr. Consistent, never let us down. And I actually was looking through with some of the shite that he had to play with, and I thought, fuck me, man. Like, well, you get that man an absolute disservice, something to play with Danny Amanko. Like, what are we up to, man? What are we up to? But I have Mikey Smith, hero. I'll miss Mikey Smith, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones, it's like you kind of take him for granted when he's there. When he leaves, there's going to be a vacuum there, and it's a shame. But the time, let's be honest, you also have to take the emotion out of it for a second and think, yeah, okay, the time is right. We can get hopefully someone that can is fit to lace the lad's boots. But he goes with my absolute thank you very much, no surrender, Mikey Smith, and wish him all the best.
Yeah. Exactly, mate. 100%. That's pretty much it about Saturday.
Do you know West GMS any luck? Or?
He gets one brownie point for having a bit of patter on Instagram because that picture is funny.
That's funny, actually.
just in the middle of the Karen, and it was on Claire Cowan battering everybody, and he's just in the back. He's in the middle of it all with a wee stupid face. So fair play to GMS. But fucking good riddance. Oh shit. That is where the goodwill finishes. Let's talk about then. What do I say? Moment of the season. Let's get folk in the YouTube. Gauge your favourite moment of the season and why. Tam, I'll come to you first this time since Ando did the last one. Sure, moment of the season.
As a personal moment, I think going away to Europe for the first time, I think that was a
fucking low light for me, because if I ever have to deal with you at a European trip again, I will murder you.
And you weren't even with me.
That got me banned from Twitter, but I will happily say it again. The police can come to my door. I will literally hunt you down and murder you if I ever have to deal with that again. Pam, did you take say we paid £100 for you to take the drum all the way to Florence? Have you taken it to the square? Oh, I didn't think I was meant to. All right, brilliant. So you got the fucking drum in your room? Idiot.
Just practicing, mate.
But yes.
But yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Other than that, I suppose being out at Easter Road, those 2 weeks of the 2 wins, probably the highlight. But
true. Ando, season highlight.
Well, I didn't make Europe because I was unfortunately in Australia. I say unfortunately, like it was a bad thing. I was in Australia. Unfortunately, couldn't make it, so I'll rephrase. But for me, I think the best moment, the best game, the best moment was when Kev got all handbags and threatened to floor Shanks at one of the European games. I can't remember which one, but I've never seen Kev lose his shit before like that in my life, and it was fucking... Was it Fiorentina? Is that what it was? It was fucking epic. I loved every single minute of that. I was like, here we go. The two most pathetic people that you can imagine in a fight squaring off against each other. I was like, this is going to happen right in front of me.
Remember that one of them had a dog's chew toy. Which is why Kev was so angry, because he showed up with a dog chew toy.
Forgot about that one. That was one of the highlights of my season, was Kev threatening to battle Shanks, and then Shanks getting all brave. Like, oh, my dad's bigger than your dad. Right? It's like, shut up, Shanks, your dad sits right there, and he couldn't battle.
I like Shanks bought my dad a Norway hat on the way back from Rio, and it cost him £40. Which is
that's class.
I forgot you went via Norway. That was the cheap way.
In terms,
Shanks was paying £15 a pint.
He's an absolute nimrod. Like he's a total weapon. But we'll maybe get him back on one day. Anyway, in terms of games, I never really made it to too many away days this season, just with obviously one thing and another. But I did make the Easter Road 3-0 away for him, and that what a day out that was. I loved every minute of it. That was a great day out. So that's probably my apart from Kevin Shanks handbags and Section G, it's the 3-0 Hibs win for me.
Aye, I'll be doing the same route as kind of Tam. I think went to Riga with my dad, which is always, a Hearts fan. The opportunity to get to European away days, etc., are fleeting, although we should be planning another trip this year. We'll have to wait and see and hope that we get there. But gone away with your dad, guy that brought you up on Hearts, the guy to blame for all this shit, the guy that's the reason why I'm such a miserable bastard. It's him that you can blame for all this. He's the reason I'm a Hearts encyclopedia. I've had my brain brainwashed since birth. But to go away with your dad for European, I'm one of my best mates, Andy, and that as well is good. I also celebrated Tam and Shanks. No, I was going to say I didn't have to put up with Tam. I was going to say I didn't have to put up with Shanks, but I actually, which is I just took that out of my memory. But it was decent. Domestically, I'd have to say that the Gino moment is up there. That'll go as red. That'll always be a pretty poignant moment. I enjoyed the griddy. I enjoyed Humphreys just absolutely ragdolling Hibs and David Marshall for some unknown reason, just standing on his goal line, like for no reason whatsoever. So they were
That
pretty
was a
good.
great goal, actually. That should have been in the contention of goals of the season, just purely for it.
What about on YouTube? What have we got?
Similar, mostly Easter Road. Shankland hitting 20 goals from C. Loban 11. Civic goal,
Sure.
Bascom 77. Volke says the Robbo celebration with Shankland goal at Easter Road. Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
That
was good nod. Good nod.
Aye.
From apprentice to master.
Exactly. What did he finish on? 28, was it?
28. Yeah.
28. 28
30
goals
next
in a
season,
season.
please.
Outrageous. Well, the cynic in me says that he'll get the opportunity to get us into the group stage football, and if we fail, he'll be sold before the transfer window shuts, as we've got a £5 million hole in the books.
And also, we only have him on contract until when? The end of 2025. There is
3 years, so alright.
Yeah, there is no. But yeah, the end of 24-25 season. We've got next season and the season after that. But yeah, if we do have a £5 million hole in the books because we hedged our bets on getting group stage European football again this year, I completely agree with Corbett. It's the only financial way to do it. To ensure security, you have to sell your prized asset. We're not at a big enough level where we can absorb that kind of risk and let it play out. It's shite, but that's true.
These are absolute bastards. But we're on such a high of the highlight of the season, and you just come fucking crashing right down again.
Well, here's another one to upset everybody. What's everybody's thoughts and feelings on the very rumoured to be red, white and blue hooped top for next season? How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling for that? That's going to be fun, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I have no knowledge of this, and just and it's almost like I'm doing this on purpose. So Corbett, let's pretend that I know nothing about this. Explain.
Well, next season is Heart of Midlothian Football Club's 150th anniversary since we were established. So our first strip, and famously
Red, white, blue.
Why we are maroon, is because we were red, white and blue hoops that were dyed maroon. So the rumoured away top for this season is going to be red, white and blue stripes, hoops, in a nod to our 150th anniversary. You seen the new gates that went up at Gerrard's Yard or whatever it's called at the back of the wheat field as well.
Historically, that's class.
See, if I'm honest,
we should please both sides of the Glasgow as well with hoops and red, white and blue. Should be fine.
I'm all up for that red, white and blue chat. Don't know why. I just am. Call me a wank.
I think as well. Does it say? It says MFBC on it or something.
It's Midlothian.
Like Midlothian Football Club.
Yeah.
That's what it is or something. So that'll be fun. I'll enjoy that.
Yep.
A big red, white and blue tifo for the first game of the season to celebrate the club's history will be
Let's play.
Actually, we never even spoke about the highlights of the season. The minute silence for the Queen, that was up there as the absolute most bananas thing I've ever been involved in a football stadium. It was superb.
Whoever signed that off?
Literally, Paggers. Mate, it was brilliant. It was the best. I actually forgot about that. I'm changing my season highlight. Fuck my dad. Who cares about got a Riga? I'm talking about the weird as in and half-time minute silence that caused absolute carnage at Tynecastle. That will never be beaten.
For the guy in front of me in 5 or 6 seasons, 5 or 6 seats along to my right-hand side, who incidentally I've been looking for every single week, has never been back. Has never been back since that night. The two guys that sit in front of him, they look like Grant and Phil Mitchell, a couple of hard piping, like completely stale men. You would not fuck about with these guys. Basically, just turned round to him. Well, listen, son, you're out here in a fucking body bag. And did he back down? No, he continued. They went for him. Absolutely leathered the lad. So, he's never been back since. So, aye.
Funny. Well, that'll be fun in games when Hearts line up at Tynecastle next season in red, white and blue.
Please let it be against one of the Irish heritage teams. That would be amazing.
that'll be fun in games, won't it? That'll be fun in games.
Amazing.
We'll talk moment. Would it be the favourite goal, the highlight of the season?
Player or performance? Did you say something like that? I don't know. Andy Hardy's hair. That's the best performance.
No.
Second half of the season.
Like he needs a refund on that transplant. Really? Like it is not seeded. Like, we know we're no point in player of the season because it's quite clear that it's Shankland. Like, it's an absolute no-brainer. Like it's.
Well, it's that pitchy award you would win at Boys Club. Most improved player.
Nah, you got it just for showing up.
I got the attendance award.
Right, here's a category for you. Biggest unexplained phenomenon of the season.
An unexplained phenomenon.
I don't really know what goes under that category.
Okay, right. Well, I'm just going to put it out there because it's been puzzling me since the end of the summer last year. Is Natty Atkinson's hair? Right? What the fuck, man? Like what? Can someone explain to me what that's all about?
Mate, I know. It's weird. He's got like a mullet, but also the Eamon Bannon going on. It's so.
But the Eamon Bannon,
it's so unbelievable.
It's not in the traditional place. It's on the side of his head. It's
on the side. I know, mate. It's where he's sleeping. That's his pilly mark.
There you go.
His pilly's got to be covered in
hills. That's the definition of unexplained phenomenon.
Well, actually, here's another one for you. Why do Hearts keep playing with the floodlights off? When it's like, remember we played a game and it was like almost pitch black, and then suddenly the floodlights just flicked on because it was like, why the fuck were the floodlights not on to begin with? And another phenomenon. Why have we got a 40-foot
I knew that was coming. I fucking knew it was
coming. The big radiators
inside Tynecastle. Why have we got that? Who's built that? The Gorgie decking. Like,
I still don't understand the logic. And if we get to speak to Joe Savage, I hope that question is being asked.
Is it it's maybe to stop the vapists and the smokers or whatever.
You'd think that the corners, but
like for the corner. But even then, that seems a whole lot of expenditure and effort just to block people who are wanting to have
that costs fuck up.
Who just smoke in the stand anyway.
The real answer is very annoying because again, it just goes back to the whole Hearts have budgeted because we are ripping up the pitch as we speak. We're going to relay another fancy pitch as it goes right now because the club have invested loads and loads of money because they thought they were going to get back-to-back group stage European football. And we built 4 40-foot Gorgie fences to fill with advertising on European days for the European games. And then guess what? We're not going to get. Well, we're going to get one European home game, and that's it.
Well, we're guaranteed one at least.
That seems strange with the pitch. Pitch has actually been the best it's been in.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I'm pretty sure that they're bigging it up. Like,
well, look at it. I know it's got it's one of those like super modern hybrid things where it's got like a certain percent of astrograss in it just to help with drainage or whatever the fuck it is. Someone explained it to me. But I'll be honest, even through the winter months, I don't think Tynecastle never ever turned into a quagmire. I mean, it was all right. Why do we need to dig that up and redo it?
Maybe we've got another concert on it in August.
I remember that. That was peak Hearts. Like, just go back to banter your story. Right. Is there anything worth talking about on YouTube? Any comments that are worth replying to or getting involved
Basecom 77 asking, does Natty Atkinson have a bald patch?
You could call it that.
Scott Lester. Oh no, I'll not read it out in case we attract angst from some folk. But oh no, the Celtic fans are going to have a field day with that on Twitter. This whole the nod to the strip that you were talking about. That's classic. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute! Wait a minute!
This is a big one.
Big Bill has just commented, Dad, why don't they put the floodlights on? Question mark.
Just to tell you, it's that.
Bill Corbett.
Mate, I ask my dad that every week. what the fuck are the
Mate,
floodlights
I think I
on
know
for?
the answer to this. You've already spoken about the £5 million hole we've got in our fiscal budget for the next season.
Just saving the life.
Exactly.
Here, actually, to be honest, the best performances this season is probably your dad for having to sit beside you all season.
Fucking hell, but wait a minute.
Yeah, hero.
Bill's
He's a
on
hero.
Bill's on a roll here. Liam, why don't you take your sunglasses off, right? And I'm gonna right, Bill.
Mate.
Bill, I love you dearly, like, because I don't know how the fuck you've managed to put up with this weapon for his entire life. Corbett, I've sat next to you countless times now in football grounds, and it always gets me. You're a footballing geek. You can look at a game, you can analyse it with micrometer precision and call it usually correct every single fucking time. But how you're able to do that by looking at the floor for the first time you actually see it, it's like, it seems like a tremendous waste of money for you. You sit and you look at the concrete of the stand you're sitting in, and then you watch the game back later in high definition.
I've got worse, and I didn't know what it is. I genuinely didn't know what it is. I can't get rid of it. I get too nervous.
Anxiety.
I cannot watch. But it's because it's too angry. So I get too angry watching and being like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why are you there? Why are you doing that? But my dad did do that the other day. I was like, Aberdeen. I was like, the fuck are the floodlights on for this again? It's like, it's going to be pitch black in a minute. My dad just went, get your sunglasses off. I was like, oh.
It's an end of May.
Get the sunglasses off, Liam, and that also.
Oh, God.
Which is there.
Sorry, Tam, you've been doing a shit job with the YouTube thing.
I was going to comment on this one, but
I'm asking the question from. I'll take liberty. Matty Harold. What about the phenomenon of this Hearts live event disappearing? Question mark.
Oh,
you know why that is?
Because
Because our fucking pre-season starts about a month earlier.
Because we're playing pre-season a month earlier. Why? Because we banked on back-to-back European group stage football.
We're going.
That's why.
Full circle.
Am I right in
Yes.
saying that we go into Europa Conference League Quali 2?
Yeah.
And basically,
If the
Cali Thistle don't win.
yeah. So let's assume Cali Thistle don't win because it's highly, highly unlikely. Let's just take it that that's what we've got. And to be absolutely clear, the European Conference League is the bottom tier of the 3 tiers of European football. Qualification round 1 contains a bunch of Scandinavian fishermen who, when they're not fishermen, drive buses and also play football as a hobby.
Yeah, Burkakara springs to mind. Let's leave our powder.
Yeah, let's not speak about it.
We'll save that until the first week in July when we're drawn against some Icelandic fucking team of... Nah, never mind. Fuck it.
Even if we do get through the qualifier, I think the playoff is against one of the dropouts from the Europa League, which, put it this way, Fiorentina played in that last year, and we'd be unseeded, so, yeah.
Don't know why I bothered renewing my ticket, man. I really don't.
Fiorentina is the cup final for that
Next Thursday.
Next
Or
Thursday.
Wednesday. Aye.
Yeah, you're right, sorry, Tam. It's next Wednesday. Fiorentina, West Ham.
Oh, well. Anything else you want to talk? Any other things that we haven't spoke about that jumped out is worth speaking about for the season that you enjoyed, hated, disliked?
What is your most raging moment of the season? We've not covered that, and we could be here all night listening to Corbett. So
Mate,
remember everybody's bedtime. I want a top 3. What does Corbett hate? What annoyed Corbett the most? Let's have his top 3, and then Tam, your top 3.
Right, well, coming in at number 3, probably Barry Mackay away at St Mirren at the 2-2 game.
Okay.
It was like stone cold silent, and I think he came over to get a ball to take a corner. Shouted, "I fucking hate you, you little cunt. You're a useless shitebag." Something like that. Everybody was like, I was like, sorry, I'm just angry. Just an angry man. What else was I angry at this season? There was something else I was going to talk. Oh, but the Mikey Smith moment where I kicked when it was the first day of the Gorgie Ultras in the Section X for the Celtic Cup game. And between Wills and Civic and Mikey Smith, they managed to be out-jumped by Kyogo, the smallest person on the pitch, for the 18th time. And Mikey Smith came over to get the ball or something, and I went to stand on the barrier, but it was the gate, and I kicked the gate open whilst going absolutely apoplectic at Mikey Smith, and it made all the stewards come and shout at me, which was fun. What random other things have annoyed me that I've been angry at? I can't remember. I'll come back to it. I'm angry that the Strongbow sign for the 21st season is still in the Wheatfield stand and still fucking
It's been
broken.
a while since you've had a rant about that.
Also annoyed me is that for everybody that sits in section G, please, the next time you're in G, have a look, right? For 10 years, Hearts have had a light on the left-hand side that's been stuck on. The fucker never goes off. It's always on. It's always there. Did we fix it? Did we take the bulb out? Did we cut the electricity to it? No, we built a fucking TV round it, and it's still on.
Shut up.
It's still shining bright onto the back of the telly. Yes.
Eventually that bulb's going to
They
burn
maybe-
out, man. Right.
They must renew it. That's what annoys
You
me.
maybe put that on instead of the floodlights.
All you need is an air gun,
That's
man.
what annoys me.
Like, get an air gun and shoot it out. It's fucking easy to do. There you go. If bulbs burst, don't replace it.
Clearly replaced the bulb. They must just know that it upsets me. So there you go. What about your top three, Tam?
VAR. Fucking hate
Ah, balls. You're still mad. Still mine.
it. The insistency to pass the ball centre back, Gordon, centre back, Gordon, punt up the park. That was really. I mind there was at a game with you and you were like, pass it to Gordon, and it went to Gordon every single time. So put it that way. Third thing, I honestly don't know.
My favourite thing of the season is, see, because we do this podcast, see the amount of people that come up to me pre-game and say, "Oh, you're so miserable," or "Why are you so negative about this?" And Hearts will win 3-0, and Nazy blah 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 blah. And then I meet them in the car park after the game. Well, you were right. I'm like, I fucking know I was right, mate. We've seen this. We've seen this story 900 times. Why are you surprised that this happened? Like, come on, this is what being a Hearts fan is.
Yeah.
Ando, what's your raging moment that can't include
Oh,
Shanks?
no, it's not going to include Shanks because he's nothing but a constant delight. The biggest one is just the whole SFA in general. I think they're absolute shit, and they've kind of done their best to ruin my season. Number two is going to be the guy that sits maybe 5 or 6 rows behind me. Who
Corbett.
was that?
Corbett.
No, not him. So halfway in between me and Corbett. The only song he fucking knows when Hibs come to town is "It Should Have Been 10." You lucky bastards!
Identify.
It should have been 10. I want to.
Use the grass like.
I cannot stand them. And my biggest raging moment, I can't remember the name of the pub I was in, but again, like, you know what, I am all for, because we do this, right? People do recognise you, and yeah, so I'm not trying to say we're fucking Beyonce or like any big fucking massive headliners that you should be signing autographs or whatever. I'm quite happy when people say, right, you know what, a long time listener, love what you do, blah 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 blah. What I can't stand is what happened to me only a couple of weeks ago, where the guy that was stood next to me in the bog decided to take both hands off his dick, try and shake hands with me at the same time as turning round, and the spray of his piss from the urinal ended all over my left leg. Fucking raging with that. That is my most raging moment, is the guy that indirectly pissed on me because of this podcast.
I did apologise for it at the time. I'm really sorry.
I was going to say, that's impressive if he's got a two-hander.
I think, to be fair,
it's gotta be
he
a
had his
special
phone
night
in
the
one
Corbett
hand.
household for me to have a two-hander.
Should have had his phone in one hand and then just put it back in his pocket or whatever. But that really fucking annoyed me.
Tam, actually, I've just remembered that not only was I raging with you with the whole taking the drum to Florence, but mind when we were making the tifo for Celtic, and I said to you, fold that, go to the middle of the bit of material and fold it, and you literally just went under it like Casper the Ghost and just stood in the middle of it underneath it, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And you were like, what? And I was like, why have you just went into the middle of it? And then they're just standing there like Casper, the ghost, like, fold it. All right.
I'd love to say that was down to being a freezing cold late at night, but no, yeah.
No, it was something.
that was really good. That.
Actually,
and on to next season. I can't wait to see the section next year.
I've got another my top. This is in my top 5. I'm not sure exactly where it ranks. And what you've already heard was, my good lady met Tam and his charming father for the first time at some stage earlier on in the season. I can't remember what game it was. And the one thing that really fucking annoyed me, she's like, "You hate Tam. I don't know why. He's such a nice wee guy." I'm like, there you go. Probably instantly number one. Exactly.
Season finish. And it is that, right? In terms of podcast for the next couple of weeks, we'll probably take a break, I'll be honest with you. Like, we've been doing the live reactions because obviously the season is nosedived and it just felt right to talk about what was happening rather than our usual features and quizzes and all that sort of stuff. But next season we'll come back with more structure and we'll do the usual routine of recording on a Sunday and getting the podcast out on all the usual platforms by the Tuesday, etc., etc. We'll try to get a bit more slicker.
And we have invested in some new technology as well, which will just make it sound super sweet and look a lot better. And also, I've not spoken to you about this yet, but I've got a couple of ideas and a redesign for the staging that I've been mocking up. That looks, I'm not gonna lie, it's smart as fuck. But aye, so we'll come back with a good new look.
It can make me look good. It's fine. Mary Douglas will be absolutely buzzing with that news. Number one fan. She'll love to see me in 4K HD.
Fair.
But thanks to everybody, genuinely, that's been a part of it this year, that's followed us, that's shared their stuff, that's got involved with loads of things. We've spoke about our highlights there. I've just remembered, like, the Murrayfield Sports Bar for the Zurich away game. Like, genuinely unbelievable. It was superb. The turnout, the amount of people that were there was just crazy. Genuinely mad. Blew us away. The marches, that started to sort of gave birth to the Gorgie Ultras and where we are and all that sort of stuff. We gave away 25 season tickets to Rooming Now Primary School or whatever it was, which we've managed to renew this season due to generous donations for people that listen to the podcast. The Busby, Tifo, like everything, like genuinely everybody on the podcast, thank you. You've no idea how much the support means to us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thanks for your support throughout the season. We will see you all next year for more doom and gloom and misery, and hopefully we'll get some European away days out of it as well. So boys, I'll see you in a few weeks.
Will do.
And enjoy your summer.
All the best.
Have a good one.
See you boys. Gorgie Rules.